everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
Well, we've got a feisty Ag Up Equipment text line. Somebody's saying that I'm not giving Tulane any credit. Well, Tulane doesn't have near the talent Ole Miss has. So that's the point of my... I mean, are they well coached? Yeah. They wouldn't be favored in one SEC game as far as talent. Even Vanderbilt out-recruits them by 20 spots. Now, let me say that real slow so people can hang in there. Vanderbilt out-recruits Tulane by 20 spots. That's not me. That's 247 Sports, Rivals, and On 3. So, Tulane's about a number 72 composite recruiter. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Congratulations to Ole Miss and Mississippi State, because guess what? I mean, winning's winning. Okay, you won. Other teams didn't. You know, other teams around the country this week or last week or both did not win. You're 2-0. Was it perfect? Was the music written perfect? No. But you won the games. Ole Miss has another layup this weekend, and Mississippi State's got a monster coming in town that's a top 5 recruiter in LSU. And one where your margin for error is slim to none. You know that. You saw the fumble last year. You played pretty well throughout the game, and then you fumbled the ball on the 10-yard line, and the dam broke. That's what happens. So you got to play clean and, hope to find a way to win in the fourth quarter against them LSU Tigers. Woo! It gets real serious. And then Ole Miss goes back-to-back, Bama and LSU. They get 3, cupcake U's, and then they get thrown into the deep end. Mississippi State will have already played their Power 5 team and a conference opponent, one being a top 5 recruiter, before Ole Miss plays a conference game. But they do play a Power 5. Do you count Georgia Tech as Power 5?
Yeah, I mean, are they a good Power 5? No, but they are Power 5.
Okay. All right.
I mean, ACC and Pac-12, are they comparable, would you say? I mean, both are not top 2 conferences.
No, they're not, because Clemson, Florida State, and, well, they've had some other teams other than that. But if you want to talk about right now we don't know if Florida State, they could be one of the first, second, third best teams in the country.
Yeah.
Miami got a huge win. The Pac-12's had their moments, but I'd go ACC with what's happened. Yeah. And I know Southern Cal's coming with Lincoln Riley. And Chip Kelly had his best year last year. I get that. And Oregon had, they were trending in the right direction. But, those are big wins by Miami and Florida State to start the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Clemson was embarrassed, but still. Georgia Tech, I don't know, Jason. Are they the worst team in the ACC? Yeah. They may be tied with somebody else.
Wake Forest won by, 1 touchdown against Vandy?
Yeah.
So
I remember seeing that. I did not watch that game, but I do. Wendy and I went to the grill on Saturday morning. What day was... I got mixed up. I had to go up on Thursday. I spoke to the business school, which was a blast. And then what did I do? Oh, yeah. Friday. Was it Friday? No, Saturday. Friday, we had dinner with friends. Had a blast in Starkville. Saturday, Wendy and I had a deal on campus with my son, and then we thought, all right, let's try to go get in somewhere and go somewhere where we can park. So we went to the grill, and that game was on.
Yeah, they actually won by 16, but, when Vandy wins by 7 against a terrible Hawaii team, yeah, I think Wake Forest and Georgia Tech are neck and neck at the...
No, they're not. Dave Clausen's been winning for years at Wake. I mean, he takes less and does a great job, but, I mean, he's won like 8 or 9 games. Georgia Tech is way worse, way worse than Wake Forest. Pull up what Dave Clawson's done the last couple years at Wake. All right, so let's get into Mississippi State and Ole Miss. First of all, when I heard Michael Pratt was out, I thought boat racing. And Ole Miss scores in like 10 seconds. And you're thinking, this is blowout city. Tulane has their backup quarterback, who's not close to as good as Michael Pratt and Horton. And we're going to roll. And then all of a sudden, this became a game. And then Tulane gets up. And it's a game all the way through three quarters. And Ole Miss can't do anything as far as their offensive line and Quinshawn Judkins. And like how much better can you get in the next couple of weeks before you play Bama, LSU, and Arkansas is the question. You got another tune-up, warm-up game. Georgia Tech's been awful. They have a new coach. They could have hired who? Willie Fritz from Tulane, who can flat-out out-coach you anywhere. We can go over to this high school football field right here. And you give him 11 and you 11, and it's the same, he's going to whip you. He's going to beat you. That's a well-coached team. Now, do they have, they don't even have great G5 talent, much less Power 5 talent. And again, Vanderbilt out-recruits Tulane by 20 spots. But as this game unfolds, Tulane took control of the line of scrimmages. And so I think Ole Miss thought it was over. I think they go down, boom, boom. Trey Harris scores. They're thinking, we're going back to Oxford. It's time to party. And Tulane did what Tulane does. They're just buttoned up, fundamentally sound, well coached, and they don't even have their starting quarterback, and they make it a game for 3+ quarters. I think that's a major concern in Oxford, the offensive line. And really, you're deep. Did you see an edge rusher on the D-line?
Cedric Johnson looked okay, but he didn't like it. The defensive line wasn't giving me anything to get happy about. Like I said, DBs were okay. They didn't look too bad, especially in the second half. Only gave up 3 points.
Yeah, but it was against a backup quarterback.
Yeah, but still
Michael. If Michael Pratt, how do we know? If Michael Pratt's in the game, we don't know what that looks like.
Right. Look, they still have talent at receivers. Ole Miss talent? No, not at all. But they still have some talented receivers.
They have some players that can play, especially, yes, they do. I agree.
So, like in the first kind of test for the Ole Miss DBs, with the second string QB, I'd be happy with the production,
Yeah, I guess. All right. But the bottom line is you won. You won.
Right.
You're 2-0. You're trying to get – the two teams are trying to get to 6 wins as soon as you can. And what does that mean? That means you have more games left to add on. 6 is bowl eligibility. The sooner you get there with more games left, the more opportunities you had to win what? 7, 8, maybe. I think I'm going to go back to what I said in June. 7-5 and an Egg Bowl win for either one of these teams. Celebration time. All right. Let's go to Mississippi State. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your car and home and save with your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. Favorites.com. Get a quote in 4 minutes or less. Save, S-A-V-E. That sounds good, especially with everything that's going on. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We are the Out of Bounds Show. And Ben from Brandon says Ole Miss loses if Pratt plays. Let's just get that out there. I think there is a good possibility. We don't know for sure because when you got a player like Dart, he could have still pulled out some heroics late. But, man, you're right. Tulane had control of that game in the second quarter. And that's with the backup quarterback. I think that's a concern. And Ole Miss's O-line, 2.5 yards per carry, and Quinshawn Judkins can't rush for over 50 yards. How is that going to work with Trey Harris out? What's he out? 4 to 6 weeks?
Possibly. There's not not an official report. But what I'm saying is around that time frame.
Okay. All right. So Trey Harris, who is a hell of a player, could be out for, let's say could be out for a month, could be out for 5 weeks. and so maybe even longer. We'll see how that looks. Let's go to the Mississippi State game. Oh boy. So Mississippi State had total control in the first quarter. And then they walk into halftime and they're thinking, how are we not up by 21 plus with the way that Jaden DeLaura turned the ball over? And then Arizona decided to take the ball in the second quarter, and third for that matter, and basically work Mississippi State for a while. The defense, more than opportunistic, turned over DeLaura. You really kind of scratching your head on what you got on offense, or what is Barbay? I know it's early. He walked into a very difficult situation. He's chasing a ghost. I mean, does that sound fun? Mike Leach is one of the most innovative offensive minds in all of football the last 30 years. He's one of the most innovative offensive minds in all of football. But you ran the ball 39 times and you threw the ball 17 times. And after going down and on a good first drive, it's 4th and 4. And Jason, here's the deal. Zach Arnett knows more football than I do. Kick the field goal. Don't go for it on 4th and 4. One, it's early in your career. You're trying to survive. You're trying to get another contract. You're trying to get to 7-5 and win the Golden Egg, just like Kiffin's trying to get to 7-5 and win the Golden Egg. You can't leave 4th and 1. I'm all for it, Jason. 4th and 1. You got Woody Marks. Run the football. The dude can flat out play. But 4th and 4, new offense. I thought that was a bad call. Then you get it back. Then you go down. You score again. It looks like you've got control of the game. And then the second quarter happens. And Arizona drives down the field and scores. And you're sitting there going, how are they not up 21 plus or 24 plus? Also, Jason, you got to call some timeouts when Arizona's driving down the field into halftime. You had two opportunities. You had two on the board. You had opportunities, especially with 40 seconds left. Call timeouts. Get the ball back. You never know what you can do with somebody like Tulu. Spread him out. See if he can catch a pass. Give yourself a little time. Spread him out. See if Tulu can catch a pass and boogie down, 40 yards. And then all of a sudden you may have a shot at the end zone with a few seconds left, or you may kick a field goal to feel a little bit better. But Arizona got the ball in the second half. And, and then the third quarter didn't go well until Tulu scores late. And give Arizona credit, and Jaden DeLaura, they did what they needed to do. Once he settled down, they did what they needed to do. And he's a heck of a football player. Arizona has NFL, and this is Cole Kubelik, not Mississippi State insider, not Bo Bounds, who's a homer. Cole Kubelik, who was on the sideline for the game, what did he say? Arizona has NFL talent. Now, when that Arizona insider, what was that dude's name? Michael Luke?
Michael Luke, yeah.
Yeah, when he came on, because I always have to be a little, whether it's Steve or Jake Thompson or whoever, I've got to be, because when you live in that town and you live in that bubble, it's tough, right? It's extremely difficult not to side and just be a little too positive, rosy, optimistic, and whatever. But when Michael Luke, Arizona insider, told us whenever we had him on, Thursday or Friday, that Arizona had some offensive linemen that could play in the NFL, I was like, okay, are they just good but not NFL guys? They do. And Cole Kubelik was like, at least 2, if not 3 of those guys are going to have a great chance to play in the NFL. So Mississippi State was going against and that's good because you got LSU this weekend in Starkville. Now, what do they want to do on offense? I'm not sure. Barbay's chasing a ghost, flipping out of the true air raid, which nobody runs, Jason, by the way. Nobody runs, as Graham Harrell told us, who played quarterback for Mike Leach at Texas Tech. As he told us when Leach was hired, he was the offensive coordinator for Southern Cal then. No one runs the true air raid. You know why? They can't.
Yeah.
It's in Leach's brain. You can run, do people run air raid concepts? Absolutely. But they can't run the true air raid, and nobody can run it effectively, which is obvious by his big coaching tree and how many of them, have gotten fired. But the bottom line is, what does Barbay want to do? And what can Will Rogers do in this offense? And if you're going to get pressure up the middle on Will, how do you counter that? I'm not a coach. But Arizona was able to bring pressure up the middle. So we know Will's not that mobile. And do you try to move the pocket? These are just questions I'm throwing out. Mississippi State only threw the ball 17 times. They ran it 39 times. This is no longer 1994 Jackie Sherrill football. This is no longer Bowie and Day. You're never going to be able to do that again. You're not going to win doing that. You have to throw the ball more than you run the ball. The game is set up today. Modern football is set up with the rules and the way it is officiated, right? It is more advantageous to do what? Throw it.
Yeah.
That's how modern football is set up today. So I don't think you'll see a 39 runs to 17 pass plays. Maybe you will. I'm just guessing here. Kevin Barbay is not going to tell us this week. But I don't know if it's totally to blame on Barbay, because I said for 8 months, and Mississippi State insiders and Starkville pushback fans, that this was going to be one heck of a transition to go from the pure air raid to whatever variation of the spread that Barbay wants to run. And you're also asking your offensive linemen to do something totally different than what they've done, which is pass block, Jason, 90% of the time.
99.
Okay. And now they're putting their hand in the ground and they're firing off the ball and, they're run blocking and so on. So, and I also don't understand why they wanted to run up the middle and not run on the edge with Woody or whoever.
I mean,
I didn't think they used Mike Wright. Like, I understand he can play. I understand Barbay wants to do things with him. But what am I trying to say? Situationally, I'm not sure what they were doing with Mike Wright. So kind of after the first quarter and you got 127 yards, you only had 272 total. You almost had half your yards in the first quarter.
Wow.
Now, Tulu, the Rodgers to Tulu stuff looked good, but you don't have a tight end. And Justin Robinson and Xavion aren't healthy. So you got to get, that trio's got to be healthy. Tulu, Xavion Thomas, and Justin Robinson for you to do it. It looks to me for you to do anything.
Was there a lack of confidence in the passing game? Because obviously Will's shown that
I think there was.
I mean, just 17 pass attempts is.
Yeah. Now, Arizona decided to hold the ball all of the second and third quarter. Okay. So Will wasn't out there you got to be out there.
Right.
To throw the ball.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
This is a pretty, and so when Arizona flipped the script, what'd they have? A 19-play drive? 19-play drive. 19 plays.
That's ridiculous, dude.
Okay. I felt like I could have gone and walked around campus twice and they would have still had the football. So I'd like to hear from you. It's early with Barbay and Will. I thought it would be, if you listen to this show, I thought it would be a massive adjustment for the offensive line, for Will. And if with Xavion not being healthy, Tulu not being healthy, although Tulu looked good Saturday, and Justin Robinson not being healthy, it's just like Ole Miss this weekend. Well, not this weekend. But without Trey Harris, dude, that's a massive blow.
What about...
And Franklin...
He's supposed to come back this week. Franklin is.
Yeah, but he's been out forever.
Yeah.
Is he just going to... maybe he does. Maybe he walks out there and has 9 receptions for 110 yards. But that's rare. ResDog says the offense isn't the problem. The QB is the problem. We don't have one. Nick says the air raid wins that game by 21. I'm afraid we may be in a Moorhead 2018 situation. Well, you don't have the talent that you had in 2018. Let me say this slowly. All, including Mississippi State insiders on campus that were talking 9-3 and 10-2, you don't have that many NFL players. I mean, neither does Ole Miss, okay? But you don't have that many NFL players. You don't. I mean, you don't have. 2018. Elton Jenkins, Jeffrey Simmons, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Abram, Nick Fitzgerald's one of the best quarterbacks to play in the SEC, best running quarterback ever. Colin Hill, NFL quarterback if his mind's right. Aries Williams, Moorhead ruined him, but he was a legit all-SEC running back. I mean, this is a totally different deal. Totally different deal. Now, I do agree that the air raid wins by 21 to 25 plus because Mike's a freak. It's not fair to compare Leach to Barbet. Again, Mike's a Hall of Famer. He won over 150 games as a head coach. See how many people have done that, especially at where he coached. And Mike could win with less. Not everybody can. I mean, Mississippi State wasn't a talented team last year. I mean, where was all the NFL talent? Emmanuel Forbes at corner, and that's it. I mean, you had a bunch of solid players, but because Leach is a genius, it's a mystery how you won last year. You were 71st in offensive scoring efficiency and 72nd in defensive scoring efficiency in the toughest division in college football, and you won 8 games. And no, you didn't win because you had a great defense. I'm sorry. I know there's been a bad misconception there. You had a solid offense and a solid defense, and here's what it comes down to. You really can't put your finger on how Leach wins. He's just unbelievable. He shouldn't have won the year before. You even had less in 2021. You had no business coming from behind against Auburn by 28. I mean, you had a bunch of solid players. But no spec. You didn't have Fitzgerald, Montez Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Elton Jenkins. Nothing close to, Colin Hill as far as talent. So you won on Saturday, which was huge. And Ole Miss won. And you're 2-0, and you need to feel good. And the coffee should taste good. It's hard to win. There's a lot of disappointed fan bases right now. But I'm not sure what they're going to do on offense. One, I don't know enough. Neither is anybody else listening. The pressure up front on Will, the pressure from in the middle up front really bothered him. So I don't know what you do to counter that because of his lack of mobility. Now, when he needed it, that pass to Tulu in the end zone was beautiful. And, of course, he read the whole thing in overtime perfectly. A guy who hadn't played much doesn't, Jason. He's played a ton of football. So, you are where you are. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your car and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Trouble in Tuscaloosa. Straight ahead.